Government has missed its deadline of December 31st to scrap e-toll gantries in Gauteng. Now, the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse is calling on motorists not to pay e-toll fees. It comes after an announcement was made in the medium-term budget policy statement a few months ago that e-tolls will be scrapped. For more on this, we're joined now by Wayne Duvenage, Outa Chief Executive Officer. Very good evening to you, Wayne. Thank you so much for your time. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has insisted that the province is doing away with e-tolls, but they're still operational. What do you make of this?
Yeah, look, it's disappointing, but expected. You know, this is not the first time they've missed a deadline. They've missed umpteen of them over the last few years. I guess they've had 2 months since they made this announcement of the alternative funding mechanism, but they haven't really done anything about it. So it looks like they've still got to sort out some of the arrangements with this between province and national on the payment. How much it is and whether there's going to be a payment period and what that period is. But the main element thereof, which is very easy to do, is to gazette these roads as non-tolled roads. Remember 10 or so years ago they had to gazette them as tolled roads, and now they're going to have to undo that process through a formal gazette. But as I said, this should have taken place over the last 2 months, and it hasn't. And it's very frustrating for the few people. It really is a small percentage now that are still paying. It doesn't really bother those who have stopped paying.
The few people that are still paying, I mean, with that money still coming in, do you think that perhaps, it's a positive on government's end to continue to have that money coming in? And what advice would you give to them, those that are still trying to, ensure that they comply and stay on the safe side?
Yeah, look, government has said that on the 31st, the gantries would not be charging. So I think they can take that as that's what was told to them, especially businesses. There are a lot of freight companies that have to or try to abide by the process because they've got contracts that say, especially with government, that they have to pay their e-toll bills. And it's frustrating for them because those who are paying, and many freight organizations that operate fleets are not paying. So those who are paying are uncompetitive. They have to pass these costs on to their customers who get frustrated with this. So I think it's going to frustrate them more. And, but they've got a choice to make. I think they're wasting their money if they are paying. But that's their choice. And the 90% plus that aren't paying are doing the right thing. And those who are paying, chances of them getting their money back is slim to zero. But it's not for us to say that. That's for SANRAL to say. Look, we've got to move on. The scheme is dead. They've made the decision. They just now need to implement it. And if they want to delay this for another few months, that's just crazy. It's ineptitude, really.
They've made the decision, and this is a decision that you've been pushing for and advocating for several years. How does it feel to be able to reach this point after all the efforts that you've made and the sort of, the lobbying and encouraging people to not pay e-tolls?
Yeah, look, it feels very good. I think this is for the citizens. The citizens have won this battle. It's a strong lesson for governments to understand and know that they cannot run roughshod over their citizens, that they need to run this country in the best interest of the people. This plan was a very bad scheme, and hopefully they learn from it. But sadly, we don't see the learning because they're trying to do the same thing with R2. It's another scheme that relies on a lot of the systems that SANRAL, the e-toll scheme, relied on the e-natus system, postal systems, and so forth. It's going to fail, but they want to, there's this notion by government so often that, well, if we legislate it and if it's the law, then the people will come running. It doesn't work like that. And sadly, they're not listening. They're not engaging. So, yeah, it's a good win, a good victory for society. We hope government learns from this, but it doesn't seem they are. So we've just got to continue to be active citizens, play our role to make sure that our government runs this country in the best interests of its people and not in the best interests of its own people in positions of power or their connected cronies.
Yeah. Do you think that if people, the very small percentage of people who have been paying, do you think that if they stop paying, immediately, that this could perhaps assist in fast-tracking deactivation?
Yes, I think so. And we've been saying this for a number of years now. The 15% or so, between 15 and 18% that have been paying for the last, I would say, 4 years, had they stopped paying, this decision would have been made a long time ago. They've kept it on life support. They've kept enough money coming into the system to pay for the administration process only. Nothing was going into the tarmac. And so it limped along. Had they have stopped paying a long time ago, this decision would be made 3-4 years ago. But now here we sit. It's probably down to 10% now, because once that decision was made in October, November, a lot of people did stop paying. But the few that are still paying are keeping it barely alive. We suggest they stop paying immediately, and the scheme will come to a grinding halt tomorrow.
There's also been a lot of concern around what will happen as e-tolls end when it comes to perhaps it will compel government to establish alternative funding for freeway improvement projects, which the end user could end up paying for.
Well, we all pay. You and I pay anyway. This infrastructure doesn't just happen. But government thinks it's their money. It's not their money. It's our money that they direct. And when they make bad decisions like this, they waste a lot of money. The money is there. What they have done now, the alternative mechanism that they've applied, is the one we suggested that they apply 12 years ago when the scheme was first hatched and launched. So they are doing it. They have been funding it through National Treasury allocations for 7 years now. So they've been applying it anyway because people weren't paying. So they've just come to their senses now and stopped the scheme because it's a waste of money. I don't think we need to worry about that. They've got the money through taxes and through fuel levies, and they just need to allocate it properly and to make sure that our state-owned entities aren't wasting that money. SANRAL still has audit findings that show wasteful expenditure, and they really need to get their house in order. And hopefully the new CEO is going to do that when he takes up office this month.
What do you imagine to be the impact on the SANRAL employees? What will happen there?
Well, it's only the employees employed by ETC in the control center. They are going to repurpose the gantries for average speed over distance monitoring. There is that transaction clearing house, which is where a lot of these employees are, and they have scaled their team down over the number of years. And they will be repurposing the whole tagging system. I think once the scheme is not billing on the Gauteng freeway network, a lot of people will take up tags, especially those who use the long-distance toll routes where those tags will apply, and continue to apply on those routes, the fast lanes, so the booms will lift. And there might be some job implications, but it's, we could do a lot better with that money that was going there than just paying salaries for a defunct scheme. You don't just pay an administrative system just because you've got people employed there. We have a jobs shortage, a jobs issue, and we've got to sort that out. But this is no excuse to keep the scheme going.
Very well. Thank you so much, Wayne. Let's leave it there for now. Wayne Duvenage, Outa Chief Executive Officer, speaking and calling on those who are still paying for e-tolls to stop so the deactivation process can be fast-tracked.